when it comes to predicting the Yu-Gi-Oh ban list, why wouldn't you pick somebody that's been playing the game for over 20 years, but also someone that's been right on every single ban list video?
Ban list, you say? I remember back when Blackluster Soldier came off the list.
In this video, I have a kidnapped Konami employee in my back room, and I'll be letting you know everything you need to know about the next ban list. Let's jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day, phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. In case you guys didn't know, it is Update Monday, a particular portion where we talk about something to not only help you as a player, but to help you get better as a person. I remember something that my sister always told me that stuck to this day is that preparation prevents piss poor performance. And I will never forget when she told me that. It was an incredibly dark time in my life where we just didn't have funds to do pretty much anything. But the way that my sister would handle what we had was almost a miracle. And now that I'm a lot older, I still carry that principle to this day. It just so happened that an unexpected bill came up that cost a lot of money, enough money to cripple a person. But because I was properly prepared for it, as much as it hurt, I was able to easily cover it despite it costing a ton of money. I know that tax season is coming up for a lot of people, and some people are getting buku money. Like seriously, can your boy hold a couple of dollars? That's how much money y'all get. I ain't gonna pay you back, but let me hold it. And I'm not telling you guys how to spend your money. I'm not even telling you not to enjoy your money. But one thing that I really want to drive to you is just take a little bit and put it off to the side. You'll thank yourself later. And that's what brings us into this prediction list. I personally think that Konami has prepared for this tier 0 Yu-Gi-Oh format, and in all honesty, they are ready to prevent piss poor performance from any of the strategies coming in the new Diabell Star lore. If you guys didn't know, Konami is really big on cycling lore. We just finished the Visa Starfrost lore.
Visa Starfrost.
Which consists of giving support to Kashtira, Tearlament, Scareclaw, and Monadium, meaning that Konami is going to be moving towards giving you guys the new lore and pushing that product towards you. I think that the next Forbidden list will be disgustingly disappointing because of it. But of course, we already know the Yu-Gi-Oh community is very thoughtful and opinionated. So if you guys disagree on something that I'm about to say, go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. We already know Konami is business-minded and they're all about making money. So this list is going to reflect that. I think when it comes to ban, Konami has two methods of attack here. They can de-escalate all Yu-Gi-Oh decks by hitting some cards that are very powerful and generic, or they could just focus on the tier 0 meta here. Option 1 comes with an almost unprecedented hit, a hit that nobody will see coming, but that's exactly what they do. And the cards that I'm talking about that could potentially be banned is Borreload Savage Dragon and Baron de Fleur. Now, as you guys know, these two cards aren't necessarily broken. By themselves, these cards are just a speed bump or normally a complementary piece alongside of so many good decks. But ironically, Konami can ban these two particular cards to be able to further their agenda. This does, on theory, hurt just Snake Eyes, but ironically, it does so much more. It hurts every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck that has been made over the past couple of years because so many strategies are focused on just synchro summoning into Borreload and Baron de Fleur alongside of an Appaloosa. And ironically, Snake Eyes can still survive with those cards being banned, and it is a power check to a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that aren't supported by the Diabell Star lore. But to be honest with you, when it comes to Konami, you also have to predict the unpredictable. So Borreload, Savage Dragon, and Baron de Fleur may just be held in their back pocket for a later time. I think eventually these cards will be banned for Konami to be able to de-escalate power creep, but right now, maybe just Link Karibo. If you guys looked at the last tier 0 format we had with Tearlament, Konami did everything in their power to hit everything around the top Yu-Gi-Oh deck as opposed to completely destroying the deck. Link Karibo is definitely up that alley. It is a disappointing hit that actually does do something against Snake Eyes, but not enough to keep the deck from being really strong. Hey, big dog, I already said that this is a prediction list, and to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure you're thoroughly disappointed, just like how a real list would be, because that's the only thing that I can see Konami hitting. It's kind of poetic because the more you hate this list, the more you start to realize that that is something that Konami could very much do, and the points are pretty valid when you look at it from a business perspective. Those particular cards make absolutely no money, allows them to be able to address the power creep, and also satisfy the majority of players that aren't looking from the competitive side in. Those are also hits that weaken some of the older strategies being played, while also forcing you to look into some of the newer strategies because they don't necessarily abuse those cards. And that's pretty much the theme of this ban list as we move on to Limited. I don't think Snake Eyes escapes completely unscathed here. That's why I think Flame the Urge is going to be limited. This is just another one of those Konami head-scratching hits, as a lot of Snake Eyes lists have only been playing one Flame the Urge anyways, but in the long run, it actually does make sense. Flame the Urge in multiple copies actually does come up at certain events, and this is one of those things that de-escalates the power just a little bit, but not enough to make a significant impact to make the deck worse. I think Konami also limits Summon Limit, though on my Perfect Forbidden list we had it banned, but this falls in line to not only what Konami has done to other Floodgate Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but also in line to cards like Vanity's Emptiness and Royal Oppression. They get limited before they get banned. And my quick thoughts on this is that it's completely the dumbest thing ever. If you think that losing to Summon Limit before was bad, imagine losing to Summon Limit when your opponent opened one Summon Limit. Now, in order to be able to balance the hits to Snake Eyes, I think Konami is actually going to address some strategies that aren't too powerful, but were able to keep up inside of this format. In case you guys didn't know, the most popular decks inside of this format, outside of Snake Eyes, is Voiceless Voice, Kashtira, Fluendereese, and Branded. Now, all of these archetypes, except for one, just so happen to be older lore Yu-Gi-Oh strategies. So in order to force you to be able to play some of the newer stuff, it's going to be perfectly acceptable for Konami to hit every single one, except for one. My guy, I have no idea why they consistently leave one of the strategies out, but this would be my take on it. For Limited, I have Kashtira Finra at 1. This card is not only really powerful for Kashtira, but actually is a good generic staple Yu-Gi-Oh card that some players may be happy to see on the ban list. There's also Branded Fusion at 1, which ironically kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only is it a hit to Branded, a older lore Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but it also kills off Voiceless Voice Branded. And ironically, instead of hitting Fluendereese, I think that Konami will hit a card like Pre-Preparation of Rites. This is actually an older Yu-Gi-Oh card that is safe to hit for Konami, while still allowing you to play Voiceless Voice at a high level. And the reasoning behind this is since we're already hitting Fire and Voiceless Voice is getting more support, it's going to be a little bit safer to hit this particular card, which does help keep Voiceless Voice in check for later formats. Now, so far, we've been making hits to some of the most popularly played Yu-Gi-Oh decks, but Konami still needs to watch their 6 over some other strategies that are quite old and still can take over. I think that's where we move to the semi-limited list, and Konami does not stop its onslaught on Snake Eyes. If you guys remember, Tier Limit got hit incredibly hard the first time around, or so we thought. Banning Sprite Elf, limiting all of the Ishizu Shufflers, as well as all of the Tier Limit monsters, still makes this deck a complete force to be reckoned with. In this particular tier list, we followed a fairly similar approach. We banned the Link monster, but this time around we are going to semi-limit Snake Eyes Ash. This does a similar thing to limiting all of the tier limit monsters. It makes the deck a little bit less consistent, but still consistent enough to be a powerful force inside of the game. I also think that Fire King Avatar Kirin does make a hit here. I believe that Konami's design for Fire King is to make it initially mesh with the Snake Eyes strategy, but with more support coming out, it's going to have to branch out into its own deck. Kirin is the bridge that helps these two decks play really well together. Labyrinth does not dodge this ban list. It's a strategy that isn't so popular right now, but Konami really does like to shoot strays. So I think that Big Welcome and Welcome Labyrinth go to semi-limited. This severely hurts the consistency of Labyrinth while also simultaneously making you dependent on Transaction Rollback, a card that they just released not too long ago. It also discourages you a little bit about Labyrinth and lets you look into some of the other strategies that are coming out in Infinite of Forbidden or Legacy of Destruction. Like I said before, Konami is a master of hitting everything but the problem, and I think that this prediction list does just that. Let's move on to a card that would get players excited, because these are the type of lists where you make huge hits, but you also have to reconcile by taking some cards off the ban list to get some of those boomer players excited.
Huh? What's that, Sonny? Thunder Dragon Colossus coming off the list? I remember when Thunder Dragon was a busted card. No! What about Electromite?
Unfortunately, on this prediction list, I have neither of those cards coming off the list. because Konami has pretty much already showed their hand. I think Orcust Harporo moves from 1 to 2. This is just natural progression and will get Orcust players really excited about the next format. And I also think because of Battles of Legends Chapter 1, Dragonic Diagram moves off of the list from limited to semi-limited. Moving on to unlimited, I think we can put just about anything that will have no significant impact on the meta, but still is on the ban list. Historically, there are Yu-Gi-Oh cards on the ban list right now that can come off with no impact to the metagame. Because of that, I do think that cards like Magispector Kirin and Prank Kids Meow Meow Mew are perfect candidates to be able to come off the ban list. This helps Magispector, which just got support in Phantom Nightmare, and releases Meow Meow Mew, a card that probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. And lastly, for that little bit of spice, there's always a card that comes off the list and looks incredibly broken on paper. I think Destiny Hero Malicious is that card this time around. And I'm not 100% sure if this card is even generic enough to be played in Yu-Gi-Oh strategies to be really powerful, especially with ESOL now being banned. You gotta admit that if you hate this prediction list, it's probably a lot closer to the real list than what you may give it credit. But if you did like this prediction list, let me know down below in the comment section what are the parts that you like the most, or let me know what are some cards that should be on the ban list. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next video.